In this episode, we're talking about the takeover of AI in music. Is the music industry officially doomed because of all of the AI covers and AI making of beats? Let's talk about it.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? It's Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together we made the super duper group Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, welcome. Make sure that you're smashing that like button, follow and subscribe and notification. As I said in the intro, what we want to talk about today is there's been an influx of AI covers. Drake, The Weeknd, Biggie over Nas, Rihanna, Ariana Grande, you name it. There's been Kanye West, AI covers on everything. So what we want to talk about today is is the music industry really officially being put on notice that, listen, they can generate the songs, they can generate the voices, now they can generate the beats. That's another conversation. What are you going to do in this kind of ecosystem that's coming up? Let's talk about all of that.
Yo, Joe, for a couple of episodes, we've been talking about this. We said it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back far enough in our podcast, we said that this is a possibility and it was going in that direction. And now we are here. Jug, I just heard I played it for you actually. The Big over Nas
message.
Oh my goodness.
Incredible. Incredible. I was, you saw my reaction. My mouth was just open like I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
And it sounded so good. And what we're talking about is B.I.G. rapping over Nas is the message.
Off of Eagles written album. Yep.
And not only did it AI Big, not only did it sound like Big, it felt like Big. It felt like young Big at that time. On top of that, because of the tone and the frequency of his voice, you were hearing words that you may have missed when Nas was saying it. You know, because of, tone and quality, just the tone and the vocal. And it made me actually listen to the record a little differently. And wow, like I'm blown away that this is, like, you said it, but to actually see the fruition, to see it, to hear it, man, the music industry is possibly in trouble.
Oh yeah. This is probably like MP3s and Napster coming. like when the death of CDs occurred, like when it changed the music industry, when streaming now became the main way to consume music. What is going to happen? And we've been saying this before, like everybody was selling the catalogs. We kept saying, why is everybody selling these catalogs? What's up with this catalog acquisition?
Could this be the reason?
And we said it on this platform months ago.
Something was coming.
That something was coming. There was a technology that was going to come.
Is it
this? Listen, like what else would you be doing with that catalog outside of feeding it into an AI? What would you be doing with it? They were training an AI in the background. They were just trying to make it seem like, we know music is this and such, and this, the streaming income, and it's a good investment. No, you guys were training the AI. So now, like we talked about earlier before we started the live, they're going to be able to, basically create your lyrics in OpenAI, take your cadences, take your vocals, put it in this, make the beat on that, put it all together, and then you got a whole bunch of new songs. You know what I'm saying? The only thing, if we start to say, hey, I think the only mistake is they keep labeling it as the artist. If they don't label it as the artist, or if they give you notice, say, hey, it's AI generated, what can the labels really do?
I mean, right now they're labeling it AI Drake, AI Big, AI, um, whew, I don't know what the labels are going to do. They're gonna have to figure out something really fast, because this is happening at a pretty quick rate. Last week is one thing, this week is that fast. AI is learning pretty quickly, and the music that's coming out is just getting better.
But again, what can the labels do when something sounds like your favorite artist? There's always been artists that sound like your favorite artist. Or this person sounds like Prince. Or this person sounds like Michael Jackson. Or this person sounds like that. Like, if you ask me, it's going to get to the point where you have an AI variance of maybe just a little bit. It sounds like Drake, but it's not really Drake. It's right there. Then
So
does that become legal?
So you're saying that they would have to purposely slight it off, not to sound exactly, but
Pretty
use
much
the same feel, just to avoid any type of legal. The same way you may pitch a record and throw it on a streaming service to kind of, no, let me not say that.
Not gonna say that, but in a general sense, like how if we were trying to sell a record with a hook, and then you would have somebody that would sing it like Chris Brown,
right?
And then if you can't get Chris Brown on it, then you just keep the person that sounded like Chris Brown, but it's not Chris Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so.
But the thing is, you would get someone you wouldn't get someone that sounds like Chris Brown, but you get somebody that could sing in a way that would fit Chris Brown's style.
Same thing.
But now, someone that sounds identical, it sounds to the point where you can't even tell the difference. They're gonna have to purposely, but will it still have that same, that same shock value? If you're not making it the same, is it going to be that interesting or would we even be talking about it if the AI slightly didn't sound like the artist that we're talking about? The whole purpose of this is it sounds exactly like them, to the point where, do we even need the main artist now? That's the scare. That's the wow. The not being, and it goes in line with not knowing what's real anymore, with verification, bots, and not knowing what's real anymore. Matrix style.
That's what it is. But at this point, I'm looking at how can you circumvent it legally. I don't know why I would say that on live, but I'm just saying the way that I would see it is that, in the past, let's say when we're A&Rs here, when somebody came in and they sounded like this artist, we just wouldn't sign them.
Right.
Yeah, you sound like Big.
Yeah, we got that already.
But that never made it illegal to do so.
Well, what would make it illegal is if, like you said, if you're actually using their name and their likeness and the whole shebang.
It was never illegal to sound like another artist. That's never a problem. That's never been the issue. So what I'm basically saying is that I don't expect these folks to win the legal battle with AI. All they have to do is not label it as Drake. Label it as something else. Don't put Drake name in it. Call it Rick. You know what I mean? Like, or call it something else. You know what I'm saying? Call it Canada Man, right? Canada AI, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then it just comes out, and then people are like, oh, it sounds like that. I like it because it sounds like it. It's like people will just gravitate to it because we've been programmed to like what we like.
It will be interesting to see what the contracts say in regards to that. Like, is there a loophole in recording agreements?
I don't think there's anything in recording agreements for you to, when they say that we own your likeness, we can't say that we own your,
I know it's your likeness and your
not your,
likeness, your image.
not your sound. Like, what is your sound? Your sound will change. Your
Then
voice,
what is
your voice
then,
tone? They can't say we own that. Like, you know what I mean?
but your likeness, how do you define likeness then?
Likeness is typically going to be, likeness is typically going to be towards your image.
Not your. Well, in contracts, well, they own, when they say likeness and stuff, they mean they own anything having to do with the actual project. As far as image, the record that you hand into them, they own all of that. So that it gives them the legal right to put your music out, to advertise it, to monetize it, to do everything they got to do with your entire music, and anything in regards to promoting it.
Right.
So if they need to, for example, I think. So how about this then? Now that I'm, we're all thinking out loud here. This is real stuff here. If the record labels own the images and likenesses, can they be the ones to generate the records?
That's what they want.
So for example, if Drake is signed to a label, can that label say, you know what, we no longer need to deal with you. We already own the Drake likeness, images. You didn't want to have your album in? Fine, we'll make our own album that we want, that we can control, the type of singles we want, and we could put it out.
That's what they want it to be.
So if it's that, would they even need to put AI Drake? Can they just say Drake? Or Drake, or will Drake have to sue them and say, you can't do that? That's my name, but you have an agreement. We could put out any like or images in regards to that.
I would say this. I would say that if say for example they were to do that, I would say that one, you would have to pay the artist handsomely, right? And I think if you're paying the artist, if the artist is getting a royalty, would the artist care? Because at this point, you can put out music that's almost guaranteed to hit, right? Because now not only are we controlling the output, we're controlling where it goes in terms of playlisting, right? They control that ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So we can make it popular. So it's like it doesn't even, so for an artist, it's kind of like, okay, I can sit back, and if I want to perform it live, I perform it live. If I don't, I learn it, I perform it live, or I let the record play itself live and put a virtual image up there, hologram, whatever the hell, and let it do what it got to do. But at the end of the day, I think that's the part of the reason why the labels want to stop it. Because the labels say, hey, I want to stop it. I want to know what's the technology behind it. We need to own that technology so that we can do that with all of our catalog. Can you imagine the artists that don't want to record? Like, say if you own the rights to the Rolling Stones, like, the artists that are your legacy artists that don't want to create new music. Now you can just go back, go get their situation, get that technology, and get those old artists that probably can no longer output on a hit.
Or on top of that, maybe the artist that died.
That I was like we see going on now with Big, like Big, Whitney Houston, right?
Pac.
Yep. You can go back. You can go back and go get those artists' vocal cadences and create new performances with them. That's why they want
Michael
that technology.
Jackson. Can you imagine the Michael Jackson?
Jesus Christ, bro. Like, you see where it's going. The possibilities are really endless. Like, that's really what the situation is. Like, see, we just solved the puzzle right here. So the puzzle here now is to turn your greatest artist, your greatest legacy artist, and be able to put out music for your old artists, your new artists on demand. Right?
Possibly forever.
Possibly in perpetuity, right?
Your favorite artist, you would outlive your favorite artist. Your artist will be able to continue to make new music new hits over and over till the day you and I are no longer here. Your children will continue to,
It's a new
and then when they're gone, their grandchildren they will continue to put out the hits from the same artists.
and that's, that's always been the struggle. Like, if you think about the labels, it's always been the struggle, right? You get an artist that comes out, the artist is hot as fish grits, right? We put them out, damn, they got hit record. Artist gets big. Now the label wants you to record again. I don't feel like doing that right now.
Yeah,
I don't feel like doing that type of record. I don't want to do that sound.
I want to go a different direction.
So now we remove that obstacle. That obstacle has been effectively removed.
As long as you have delivered a successful first album or whatever,
yeah,
they could just take that and plug it in.
Yeah, like that's that we've now removed the obstacle of creativity. I think you and I had said that before. Like, the one thing that we were able to hang our hats on as creatives and say, hey, you can make this and you can make that, but you can't build creativity. This belongs to us. You can't take it from us. Wrong. Right now, they are able to replicate creativity.
Wow.
The world is in danger, bro.
I wonder how far it will go as far as genres of music. I wonder if there would, Rolling Stones and, all of these other genres. I'm wondering if it's just a genre thing. Do you think it's?
I think it's going to start with urban music first, and I think urban music, because urban music is probably the easiest to do. I think that's the first thing, and I think also because we probably present the most difficulty in terms of business.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know folks are gonna be like, "Damn, you said that?" Yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I think that there's an element with urban music that I'm almost 100% certain that a lot of labels just do not want to deal with the element that comes along with it, but it's just too profitable.
Yeah.
And if they can remove that element and still make the profits, they're gonna do it with the quickness.
Now there's gonna have to be some sort of regulation, like set forth somewhere along the line.
I don't see it. All I see is the contracts changing. It's now the contract language will change from likeness, and then they'll have to expound on likeness to put in tone, sound, cadence, and then probably put in AI generation, and say that, hey, we have the right to replicate your voice, emulate your voice, and start putting those type of languages inside of the contract in terms of emulation. Because if you think about it, that's really what it is. It's really an emulation of the person's voice. So once you put the language in it and say, hey, we're going to have your recording. And if you've never used, this is not a plug to this software, but if you've ever used a program called Descript, it's another AI video editing software. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to edit using the transcript. And let's say you have a video that you're editing, and the system will say, okay, you know what? You talking to the mic and you say about maybe like 300 to 500 words. And then anything you type, it'll fill in your voice into the video.
Okay.
So the emulation capacity has been here for a while. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not something that's new. So I believe that, artists, once they start to figure out what this platform is going to look like, they'll go into the studio and they'll say, okay, I need you to sing these words, sing these type of runs, these types of riffs. And once the system figures out that set of 300 to 500 performances, then you can put it together and do whatever you want.
Now, Jug, we've been talking about it more on a record label business standpoint, but what about the artists? What about the songwriters? What about the producers? What about, like, how does this affect them?
Oh, we're all fucking screwed. It's like, bro,
You know,
we're all
like you don't need
we're,
to, huh?
hey, we're all screwed, man.
Like for the
Like,
services?
have you not heard what I said? Like, we're all screwed, man. Like this, this is that extra. This is that other type shit. Like, I need people to really be clear. Like, this is the stuff that you would have. This is a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like, this is a nightmare. Like, the only thing that keeps you in business longer is because we're so slow to adopt the technology. So because people are slow to adopt it, that might buy you 3 to 5 years if you're lucky.
But this is also like, I think this is why having a consumer relationship is so important. I think when you're dealing with consumers one-on-one directly and have a relationship to the point where the consumer's like, I like dealing with them, or I like dealing with this person. I like them on a personal level. I think when you have something like that, you stand a better chance to weather the storm. Because to be honest, there's a lot of people who's going to be old fashioned, quick. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with bots or robots, or I don't understand that. I'm going to deal with what I've been dealing with, what I'm accustomed to, and these guys or this person has always done good by me. So when I'm looking for beats, when I'm looking for a songwriter, I'm going to just deal with them because I like what I like. There's going to be people who don't want to change. There's going to be people who have no choice but to change in order to move forward in this. So it's going to be very interesting to see, what happens and how things pan out.
It really depends, bro. Because while I think people are going to stick with the people that they love and they want to stick with, and I know that there's going to be some brand loyalty when it comes to that.
Right.
I think the larger issue is going to be cost. Right? If the music that you can get that's generated AI is a fraction of what it would cost to get it from a real person, you can't compete with that.
Yeah.
That's where the problem comes in. If it costs me, 5 times less to license a song from AI, I'm going AI.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to be the reality of the situation. And then we're talking about a system that can output it, on demand, nonstop. Like, creativity on demand. That's what I'm going to start calling this shit. Creativity on demand. It's like print creativity. Like, press the button and it just comes out. So it's going to be one of those type of situations where, people, like, I don't even know if you're going to need new artists at this point.
Right.
Like, that's the real problem now. The problem here is like, okay, if I can take Biggie and put Biggie on my favorite non-songs, it's like, I can live in my ecosystem. I never have to listen to any of y'all guys' new music. You got your new guys' music to me, you won't even, because now this is new.
We didn't even touch, like, they only scraped the surface with the holograms for shows.
Oh, it's about to get crazy. Like,
we didn't even like tap that side of town.
It's about to change, and the reason why it's going to change is because you see the images that are coming through the AI Midjourney images.
Yeah,
how they're able to take the other day I was looking at one where they was like, put your favorite Street Fighter characters in a bar, and it was photos of like Dowsum and all these folks, like real photos of what they would look like as real people in the bar of Street Fighter. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, this isn't crazy. This is insane. So now you're at the point where you can take images of your favorite artists. If artists are smart now, they go take 3D 60 images. Once you do that, it's like, once that hologram, like, just tell everybody to come to a concert with an Oculus, and you got what you need to have. That's going to be as real as you want it to be.
Yeah. And
It's gonna be like some Avatar type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like
you
that's
know,
gonna be what it's gonna look like.
to be honest, it'll get to a point where you really don't need to leave your house. It could be showtime at 10 o'clock. Everybody suit up,
Yep.
plug in,
Plug in.
and you're
And,
there. You're
and
there.
see
You're
it, feel it.
there. You're experiencing the music that AI generated, AI performance. Record labels could add in perks where you want some backseat passes, where your device allows you to experience going to backstage, shaking hands, having conversations with the quote AI artists. You know, this can go as far as the you can imagine.
Imagination to take it.
Yeah. Can you imagine the cash cow if you own all of these things, these components, these platforms?
But this is why folks kept saying, don't sell your content, man. This is why folks say don't give your ownership up to your music and your other stuff. Don't give it up because now you can't participate
Right.
in the ecosystem that's about to take place.
If you have your own catalog, if you own your own catalog outright, when technology, does these huge jumps, you can position yourself to, offer the same things with your catalog. The same thing that the record labels are doing, you can say, you know what, I could do the same thing, but on a smaller version with my own stuff. If you don't have anything, if you don't own anything, then you're not going to have anything to sell or any type of service. What do you have? And that's why we always on the show, we always talk about ownership and having something, owning something, whether it's, whatever it is. As a brand, you need to have something that you could say you own this, and I can go and use this and sell this, or have a service based around this or something, because you're going to be left in the cold if you don't have something. If you can't, when this is all said and done, and you can't go to your website and see a product there, what are you selling? Are you in business? Are you in business if you don't have a product to sell or a service to sell?
Remember what they did, man, is they tricked us into thinking that the music was the business or was the service to sell, where it should have always been the pathway to sell something else.
Right.
And we didn't catch it. I think the people who caught it early were like the Diddy's and the J's, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna use music to sell liquor.
We're
gonna use music to sell. We're gonna use music to sell clothes."
Yeah.
Like they caught it early and they understood early, like, oh, you're not supposed to be just selling music. We're supposed to use music to sell other shit. Like that's always been the game. And if you weren't selling CD players, you're selling, iPod, right? Like you use music. Like if you think about the first generation iPhone, it's probably because it had the music on it. Like that was really the situation. But like now you were able to combine the iPod with the phone. And there was really no way of you losing with that type of technology. So
they said RCA Records the purpose was to sell the actual record player.
Right. Like that was always the situation. So it's like we still haven't figured it out, man. Like we're still sitting here trying to pedal, listen to my song, and it's like there's no way for you to, promote yourself in a fashion that is not like the amount of money that you earn from your actual music. It's going to be eclipsed by what it costs to promote yourself.
Right.
And that's what the problem is, and that's what's been the problem for a lot of artists who don't, get like a viral hit or something like that, or some type of weird type of anomaly with their situation. It's like if you can't get the attention, if you have to pay for the attention, you're gonna always be in the red.
Yep. And with this AI thing now, it's going to be even more challenging. It's going to be more of a fight.
Because now you got to fight all the AI generated music. Like think about this now.
That's the competition now.
That is the competition. That's going to be like how do you stand out now as a new artist when I just heard Big on. Basically, they're going to remix It Was Written with Big.
They can do that. They could remix any
Wait,
classic album.
You're gonna remix. Listen to what I'm saying to you. The song that you played me with Big, the message, they changed the intro. They added Scarface to the intro. That's not part of the song.
Right.
They reproduced the record. The record is literally reproduced. So if you're gonna take my favorite Nas album, put another legend on it. No slight to Nas, because you know how I feel about Esco. But you gonna put Big on it? Like, why do I need to listen to new music out there when that's new music?
That is new music, yeah.
That's new music. So now, like you said, we gotta compete. Now these new artists gotta compete with this shit. You like think about it. Like, these guys were happy these guys were passed away because you don't gotta compete with them anymore. But now you gotta compete with that shit. You gotta compete with new Prodigy verses.
Jug, you just said something that's really like thought-provoking. Like, just you have all of these. Let's put it like this: you have older fans that like a certain kind of music. Let's be frank, right?
Yeah, right.
And not really hip to today's younger music, but they love the older music and would love to get some old music but feels new. This feeds that. Like you're satisfied. Like, you're satisfied with getting a project where, okay, Nas, maybe a Nas and Big album that sounds good, that's new and fresh, that sounds like there's just so many possibilities. So the new artists are gonna have to compete with that.
But think about it on a deeper level. Like, we got the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're a younger artist or if you're a younger consumer, you're not paying to consume all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna be the ones that pay. You know, that's just why if you notice, like, the legacy tour guys are doing really, really well now. It's because, we want to see our people that we love from back in the day, and now we got the money to really,
Right.
go to the shows, support the merch. Like, this is why these guys are eating in the way that they probably didn't eat when they was younger. It's different. So, like, but like you said, like, if I could get a new album, if I can get a new Big album, or a Big and Nas mashup, or a Big and Mobb Deep mashup,
or Big and Pac,
come on, bro.
back to back.
Like, that's a different situation.
New material sounding like, woo.
That's a serious situation, bro. Like, that's really that's really been the problem. It's like, even if I went as far as say, hey man, I want to get another Cuban Links. Right? I want that Raekwon from Cuban Links. I want that Ghost from Cuban Links.
Make the album you want to make.
Come on, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get that. Like, I want Supreme Clientele Ghost. Are you kidding? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you kidding? Like, this is a new situation where folks have to really start. Like, we're gonna keep talking about. Listen, you got to really start building your fan base. I'm gonna tell people to get off of socials. They would say, "What do you mean get off of socials?" Meaning, get your fan base off of socials.
Okay. Get them directly to you.
Get them directly to you.
Yeah. Let them know your website.
Yeah. Get folks used to that ecosystem of your website.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't feel, and if there's not enough content to keep people in your ecosystem, you got to figure that out. Right? That's part of the reason why people keep going to social media, is because they keep looking for something to keep themselves entertained. Like, if you got fans, you got to make sure that you're feeding those fans with, what's going to keep them in line with whatever you got going on. Like, you got to build a community for you in your situation. Like, you got to build that. If you don't do that, when this AI monster is unleashed, and it will be unleashed, because listen, man, shit was bound to happen. And we said this shit for a while. Too much violence in this type of music, too much this, too much that, too much knucklehead shit, too much bad business. And I just think people just got tired and say, you know what? We want the creativity, we just don't want to deal with you. We love your creativity, but we don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
And now they found a way to take your creativity and not deal with you.
Yeah. They're gonna they can find a way to remove people.
This is what we're looking at. This is what people are looking like. You know, like, you guys are not acting the way we need you to act. You're not conducting business where we need. You know what? We're gonna find a way to circumvent this shit.
Yeah.
And gosh damn it, they did it.
It took they removed. We don't want to deal with you. You like
Yeah.
and this has a that mentality where we don't want to deal with you, but we like what you do, but we don't want to deal with you. So we're gonna quote unquote rate you for all the things that you do, and then if you're into history, you know where I'm going with this. I'm not gonna go further than that. I don't want.
Like, you see what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see what it is. I don't think people don't want to look at everything like that. They're gonna say, oh, this negative. But listen, like, this is capitalism at its finest. It's like, how do I remove the middleman?
Yeah.
Like this is what it is.
Jug, if you look at it from a business standpoint, from a record label, this is a dream come true.
Come on, bro. Like, honestly, it's like they're over there probably jumping for joy. They're like, yo, take this shit off so we can find whoever's doing this shit and pay them. Like, give us the technology. Listen, listen, man. I'm not even playing around with these folks. I got the Python up. I got all this shit up. Like, if you don't understand what's going on in the background with this shit, I feel sorry for y'all. Like, you gotta play with this shit. You gotta understand what's going on. If you don't understand, they're gonna leave you behind. If you don't, we talked about it last week. You gotta be on the prompt engineering side. You gotta be on the engineering side. You gotta engineer the AI that's gonna be outputting this music, man.
It's only as good as what you're gonna put into it. So you gotta learn these things.
Honestly, I think it's to the point where it's beyond that now. I think it's to the point where it has access to the internet, bro. Like, somebody was in our comments that says, hey, it can only do it can only repeat what we tell it. And I'm like,
it learns. So once it picks it up that one time, it's in the database. It's there. You don't gotta tell them again. And then on top of that, it searches for variations of the same thing that it's learned. So it learns different ways of doing that same thing.
And then once you start to combine the different ways of doing things, that's how you make creativity. That's how you make something new.
Yep.
So people keep saying, oh, you can only repeat what you put into it. If I have 10 different variations, and now we start to mix and match the variations, we got something new? Yeah. Like, come on, folks.
And look, and then AI, this thing studies. It's a workhorse. It studies what's happening all over the world. It has access to all. It has access to all cameras, if you want to. That's on the.
Man, we not even gonna go there, bro. Like, the main thing that we keep coming back to is learning your customer, owning your customer, trying to build your community for your businesses and your brands while you can.
While you can.
We don't know how long this thing is going to last for. Like, we don't know. We don't know where this thing is going to go.
Yeah.
Like, this thing, like, I always had my reservations. I always felt that the acquisition of catalog was being used for something. We just didn't know what it was.
Right.
But again, like,
look,
these guys probably knew the AI was coming, and they needed to position themselves with those catalogs so that they had a right to the technology or a right to the songs that are going to be produced from it.
So they could participate.
That's how the game is.
Yeah. We don't mean to sound like doom and gloom, but on this platform, we just trying to just tell it as is. Raw, uncut, just tell you what it is, what we seeing, what we experiencing, what you know, we see what's going on, and you could do what you want with the information. This is totally on you.
But it
But we,
also
but we predicted this though, like we predicted this though.
but it also puts you in a position of empowerment, right? Because now, if you know what the folks are going to do, you can either combat it or you can pivot. You can learn. You can arm yourself with the information.
Right.
You can figure out where are you going to fit in the situation before it's too late. Like, so that's really what artists and producers have to figure out is like, where do you fit in this situation that's coming, right? How can you continue to make your money? How can you continue to be creative? How can you compete with what's coming?
And that's always been, but that's always been the issue, not having the information beforehand so that you can position yourself. We've always been in the dark, like a certain, maybe a genre or a certain culture has always been somewhat in the dark of what's going to happen next. And when it happens, we're not positioned properly. And then everything happens to us or everything happens to that group, when we're screaming and crying, oh, this and that. We have to pay attention to what's going on around. We have to look outside of the box. We got to get off the block. We got to travel, experience, see different things. We got to open our eyes, meet different people from outside of our culture and so forth. You got to travel, you got to experience different things because there is information out there that can help you position yourself in a way that you can benefit from this. But if you're not connected, if you're not doing what you need to do, if you're not going out there and searching and asking the right questions, you will always be left behind. And unfortunately, like, there's so many talented people, there's so many people that can move this culture forward. And because they don't move around and do what they have to do as far as asking the right questions and meeting who they need to meet, the culture, the talent is just lost.
You said something, man, that was real powerful when you said that we got to be always be the culture that doesn't look at the information that's coming in and you get left behind, and then we're saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this to us because here goes the information and nobody wants to accept the information. Like, that's really what the problem is. It's like we're like so afraid to accept that this is going to change. It's going to change. Like, the music industry is going to change. The situation people have to realize, like, listen, we've fed the engine of the internet all of our information.
Yeah.
You've given it all
for decades.
For decades. You've given it all of the MIDI files. You've given it all of the audio. You've given it all of the acapellas. Like if you think about the amount of songs that have been uploaded into Spotify,
yeah,
like, there's endless ways of an AI to interpret that and make interpolations or whatever it wants to do. So we fed the engine. The engine is fed to capacity. Now the question is, which side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side where you're trying to compete with the output, or you can be on the side of trying to see what you can create to, I don't want to say help feed the system, but you're not going to be able to compete with that type of system.
Right.
Like, that's really what it's coming down to. It's like, you're not going to be able to really compete with that. Not at the rate it's going to be outputting songs and music. And like, I'm watching it right now in terms of what ChatGPT is doing in terms of the language situation. These guys are churning out marketing plans, all types of stuff. Like, agencies are going to go out of businesses.
Yeah,
I expect law firms to take big hits. There's a lot of issues, and that's why a lot of people want to slow it down, because they know that it's going to wreak havoc on a lot of the administrative industry that a lot of us, that's what the middle class is built on.
Right. Yeah.
is built on that type of work.
The economy is going to take a huge hit they've never seen before. And and then we won't even talk about some of the other additional things that's impacting our economy, with the value of the dollar bill and the China and all these other things. That's a whole different podcast.
Man, listen, that's a whole other thing, like you said, that we never people just have to be prepared for the things that will change.
Yeah. And the key, I think, like you said, the key thing is just making sure you have that direct to consumer relationship. Have that website where you're able to communicate with your customers, your fans, having that community. If you don't have that community, you're going to be in trouble when it's time to sell your product or sell your service, or even get information, real information from your consumers. This AI thing is going to make it very difficult for you to know what's real, what's not. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see if there's going to be any type of new laws put in effect, or what's going to happen as far as copyright, content, things of that nature. So you kind of gotta watch what's going on, and pay attention.
Definitely,
This is going to affect you, definitely.
it's not even a game right now. So what we hope for is we hope for folks to kind of like see what's going on,
Yeah,
sort of embrace what's happening. Like, you can't really fight it. Like, you want to try to fight it, but it's already here. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, okay, how do you fit into this ecosystem? Like, again, like, how do you fit in? How do you get to your fans? How do you grow your base? Do you have to put out more content? Do you have to start, engaging with your folks one-on-one? Do you have to create email lists? Like, what is it going to take for you to make sure that you can nurture your audience and really ensure that you continue to eat?
yeah,
Because it's common, and you don't want to be in a situation where everybody's eating and you're not.
right. You want to be in a position where you can, whatever comes down the line, you have the flexibility to kind of pivot and move with it. You want to position yourself in a way that you have access to these things. You have a little bit of knowledge in those different areas. If you have no knowledge or whatever, it's best to start looking around, reading what you have to read, do the research, so you have an idea of all of these different AI technologies that's coming out, knowing exactly what they do, and even seeing how you could implement it into your own business, and make it useful for you. Because if you're not, you're going to be in competition with not only the AI, but other people that are using the AI technology as well. So you're going to have a lot of competition, and if you're not standing firm and with knowledge of how to use these different technologies, platforms, you're gonna be lost in the storm.
Man, that's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, folks. Like, we try to keep it as real as we can keep it, and I know we're trying to talk about the stuff that folks are not really accustomed to hearing people talk about in terms of music industry. I know it's not just, songs and beats and contracts. Like this is one of the keys to longevity in the music business, is looking at what's happening in the landscape and pivoting. Like, that's what it requires for people to be able to maintain relevancy in a overcrowded and saturated industry. So I'm hoping that folks are paying attention and, really understanding like where we're coming from when we deliver this type of content. It's like, you have to understand what's coming so that you can make the decisions on how you want to survive in this music business. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get left behind, like Mike said earlier. Follow us at www.arkatechbeats.com. If you haven't already gotten the books, The Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, The Essential Steps to Protect and Monetize Your Music. If you haven't gotten the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, and then also the ultimate guide to forming a music LLC. Those books are available at arkatechbeatz.com. Make sure that you're picking up and expanding your knowledge base so that you can figure out and continue to figure out how to protect your music, monetize your music.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we're going to have some more things that come out so that people can pay attention to. So
yeah, shout out to everyone who's copying. I'm seeing getting a lot of comments and a lot of DMs thanking us, and just, very excited, to get something like this, that they could read through and just kind of figure out how they're gonna make their moves. So it's dope.
It's a lot of people downloading these books.
Yeah, it's dope.
It's a very, very interesting time.
Glad we could help, man. Glad we could help, because man,
that's for real.
That's what it got to be about, and that's why we have this platform.
That's what's up. So until next time, folks.
Peace.
Peace, everybody. Arkatech